Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to yield 5 minutes to my friend and colleague, the gentleman from Oregon, Mr. Wu.
I thank the gentlelady.
Is recognized for 5 minutes.
Fanaticism, George Santayana famously said, is redoubling your effort when you have forgotten your aim. Let us measure our efforts against our aims in Iraq. After great effort, Saddam is dead. After long effort, we have established there are no WMD. We have eliminated Iraq as a threat to its neighbors. We have achieved the President's Iraq war aims. Why are we sending 21,000 more troops there rather than redeploying all our troops out of Iraq? Because we have forgotten our aims. Now, we referee a civil war between the peoples of Iraq. The President admitted as much in his State of the Union, saying, this is not the war we entered, but the war that we are in. The use of force resolution we passed in 2002 nowhere authorizes our participation in Iraqi civil war. It has therefore expired. The President must come back to Congress for reauthorization if he wishes to war further in Iraq or to extend the war to Iran. The fact that we're in a civil war is backed up by our own national intelligence estimate, as well as my conversations with soldiers who served, serve, or who will serve in Iraq. I share with you a typical comment. I joined the Army, and I'll go as many times as they send me, but I'll tell you what. These folks have been killing each other for 1,000 years. They're killing each other today and may kill each other for another 1,000 years. I just don't see what good we're doing there. This loyal soldier deserves our support and our protection. John Murtha's efforts to craft an emergency supplemental appropriations bill to protect our troops is commendable. No soldier should be repeatedly deployed to Iraq without being rested, retrained, and ready. To do so otherwise is an abuse of our citizen soldiers. It is a criminal dereliction of duty. It is an abuse of power. The Constitution gives Congress the express power to regulate the military. We must exercise this responsibility and stop the abuse of our troops by building thoughtful guidelines into our defense appropriations bills. Some want us to believe that we must either stand aside and let the President have his way or use the blunt acts of cutting off all funding for the Iraq war. Not true. Not only does the Constitution give to Congress, not the President, the power and responsibility to regulate the military, there is ample precedent to support Congress authority in wartime. In the 19th century, Congress went so far as to require President Andrew Johnson to obtain the signature of General Ulysses S. Grant to any of the President's military orders before it could become valid. The President obeyed. President Truman was forced in the Youngstown Steel case to recognize that his powers as commander-in-chief were severely limited when they undermined congressional decisions. Even though a steel strike seriously affected our ability to fight the Korean War, the commander-in-chief could not act independently of our nation's laws. President Bush needs to learn that we are a nation of laws and that no one in America is above the law. He needs to listen to the American people. He should heed our professional military rather than shop for a convenient opinion. The American people understand the challenges in Iraq are political and that no amount of military force can retrieve the situation. Only the Iraqis can solve the problems of Iraq. Our staying merely delays their day of full responsibility, and that's why this Iraqi government asked us not to escalate until, like our own generals, they were browbeaten into submission by President Bush. We must end this war with a minimum of domestic recrimination, a maximum of motive and opportunity for the many peoples of Iraq to solve their own problems without genocide, one last chance to win the war in Afghanistan, the last known mailing address of Osama bin Laden, and we must begin the long task of rebuilding America's foreign policy on its traditional bipartisan basis. We must forsake fanaticism and never forget our national aims. My colleagues, this President has never had the authorization from Congress to enter a civil war in Iraq. Our mission is done. Bring the troops home. I return the balance of my time.